Okay, this is the Mia Microflight 1.25 Easy Gyro, and it's got a pre-rotator, but it's not connected. We're just gonna fly this with just a hand spin here. This video is to illustrate the steps in preparing for takeoff. Once again, you have to make sure that the model has been calibrated, and by that I mean make sure that the model balances from the center. And when you hold the model from the very center of the main shaft of the rotor, the model should hang as you see it here in this position with the battery on. Now I'm using a very heavy battery because I don't have a smaller one. Typically this one flies with an 800, and it is recommended you fly with an 800 3-cell LiPo just to keep it lightweight. With a 3-cell, the angle will be a little bit less, somewhat around that angle there. Okay, the other thing you have to make sure also is that, hopefully you've done this already, is to make sure that the yaw has been calibrated. Now, on this particular one, we supply the masts with a motor mount that has been offset to the right as seen from the rear. That's to create the offset for the motor so that the model yaws very little. This one needs a little tweaking, so we're going to make some adjustments via the transmitter and the rotor here. Okay, when you hold it from the, and you got to hold this securely from the center here, you want the model to have very little yaw. Too much yaw, the model's going to want to turn on you. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's calibrated, and we're ready to fly. If you're going to take off from the ground, I would recommend that you give it a nice spin and just begin to pick up speed. So my rudder is reversed. Make sure that your controls are properly set. You don't want to be flying the model with reverse controls here, so let me reverse my rudder. I use the same configuration for different ones, and I switch left and right on the rudder, and left and right aileron, which is your roll, up and down for the pitch. That's working nicely. Okay, so typically on my transmitter I have a function here that allows me to set 2 additional mixes. Normally the way I do that is I explain that in the instructions that are supplied with the 1.0 gyros. I have a switch here that allows notice how the angle of the rotor is steeper when I switch this on. This is the dual mix. So the reason I have this switch set up that way is to allow the rotor to catch more wind. Now I have this on full rates, That's about, you're gonna have about 8 to 10 degrees of left and right roll, and 8 to 10 degrees of up and down or elevator from the starting point, which I showed a little bit earlier when I was holding the model by the rotor head. Now I also have dual rates here, and I also have exponentials. My exponentials on my transmitter are set very high, 75 to 100 even sometimes, but I have, on this particular setup, I have them set at 75%, and dual rates gives me about 5 degrees of left and right and 5 degrees of up and down. Likewise on the rotor, got about 5 degrees there. If I go to low rates, high rates, okay, so you want to be about 5 to 8 degrees to begin with, and I would recommend that you do not execute a full flight. You just try to get the model in the air and come down, let it parachute down at the end of the runway. Once you get the hang of doing that, then you can go to the full flight and then start experimenting with the settings on your either high rates or low rates, whichever you feel, or whichever way they feel comfortable on your hands, because everybody's hand sensitivity is different. So you're just going to have to find that sweet spot that works for you. But about 5 degrees to 8 degrees of roll and pitch, as well as rudder, is about where you want to begin with. So let's give this a go. Okay, now again, this switch here, even though with low rates, I can still switch that on high there, so it gives me a little more angle of attack on the rotor, and that's all that's doing, that separate switch here, this mix switch. Once the model starts getting airborne, I lower the switch. So up for higher angle of attack, low to kill it. I'm going to start with low rates here, so let's give it a go here. Get that rotor going, and I may need to go on high rates initially, so build up speed. Don't be in a hurry. Wait, don't push the model too fast, because these things, they work better slowly as it starts to catch air. Hopefully you have a nice little breeze. Follow the model so you can see what happens to the model when it's in full RPM, and keep your controls level. Now I start to push it. Now it's going to pick up now. There we go. As soon as you get airborne, don't push the throttle. As soon as you get airborne, lower the throttle a little bit, because you don't want to force it. When you're about that high, start banking, you get a feel for the control. I have a 1600 milliamp hour battery on this model, so it's flying heavy, but that's only because I didn't have the 800 with me. Do not use anything higher than 800. The reason for my recommendation on the 800 milliamp hour to start with the 1.25 is so that you have a lightweight model, and it'll be a lot easier to control. See, right now I'm at the controls right now. It's a little more challenging to fly this with a little more, with almost twice as the weight on the battery. But that's only because I didn't have the 800 with me. So I'm gonna go to low rates here. Oops. You gotta be careful there. You want to try your low rates when you're high there to see what the model is doing. Let me bring back my elevator. My low rate's a little too low. And you want to lock your controls. I like to fly with my thumbs over the stick control. My fingers on the edge of the control sticks, thumb over index finger, I guess they call that. And that's because it allows me to lock the control a little bit better as if I would just do it with my thumbs. Some people are really good just with the thumbs. I got used to flying this way, and for me it's just a way to lock it. See, I can lock it right there. I don't know if this video is catching my transmitter. I can lock it and hold it there. And all throttle management, look at that. My right hand is locked into one position there. I'm going to turn with the rudder right there, pull a little bit of elevator, let it pick up speed, pull up a little bit, pull up, pull up. Now, like I was saying, this is flying heavy because of the battery size that I have here. And you do not want to use anything higher than an 800 milliamp hour battery. If you do, for sure you'll crash your model on the first try. So don't do it. Okay, so once you get used to it and you become really good, you know, then you can start experimenting with the model. But the trick is to use good throttle management. You don't want to come too low either. You don't want to come hot, especially with a heavy model like I'm flying here. You won't have this. It won't be that risky with the 800 milliamp hour battery. So please, and I can't stress that enough. It'll keep the model lightweight, and if you crash, it won't damage the model. I mean, the model is pretty tough to begin with, but you know, within the parameters that I recommend and that have been designed around. And there we go. And once you get the model to, once you get it locked in your control, you know, just manage the throttle. Manage the throttle. It's a little windy today. Get out of the sun. Always face away from the sun when you're flying models, because that sun can cause you to crash. Okay, I'm gonna come down here. So I'm gonna come down a little bit high because of the weight here. I need to bring it in with a little momentum. If it was lighter, I could. All right. Okay, the blades are going to get scuffed up. And if you crash the model, I mean, I have not broken a single blade since I've been flying these with the Mia Microflight blades here. And when I was flying the conversion kits with the Auto G foamy blades, I was breaking those left and right. I mean, every time I would barely a hard crash, you know, it would crack. So I have not broken one single blade on my Auto. Gyros, and you want to make sure that that spins nice and smooth too. You don't want to make sure that this is not too overly locked. Make sure that the rotor spins nice and true, and that you have no zero to very little wobble there, or no wobble at all, if you've balanced the blades correctly. The blades are balanced, you know, when we ship, but we recommend that our customers give it one more check, just in case, and make slight adjustments with little pieces of tape if you need to do that. Look at that, it's bouncing quite nicely. Okay, now to take off by hand. Give it a nice spin. Hold the model by the seat here, by these buttons here, by that support the seat on the frame, and let it build up. Let it build up speed. You can hear the swoosh sound. As you move forward, you're going to feel some tension or resistance, you know, with the wind. Make sure you have this straight. Start your engine and give it a nice push. But of course, you're going to have to hold the radio with your left hand if you're, you know, if you throw this right-handed. Okay, I have to land because the model it's very low on battery. See if we can land it right. Nice. Whoa, a little tricky, kind of crosswind there, but landed it safely. So basically, that's how you fly the 1.25. Once again, and I have to say this one more time, this is a 1.6 milliamp hour battery, and it's just too heavy for this model. I mean, in the hands of an expert, yes, you can probably do some flights like I did today and get away without crashing. But you don't want to fly with this size battery. You want to keep it nice and lightweight. So use an 800 milliamp hour battery. 3-cell has plenty power. This motor that we supply with the full kits. So please keep that in mind. Okay.